Hello, friends. You're watching The Night Watchman, where every day you'll hear a brand new horror story that will send chills down your spine. But to keep bringing you these terrifying tales, we need your love and support. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Now let's begin the story. I always thought tech problems were the worst thing I'd ever deal with. Frozen screens, dying batteries, apps crashing right when you need them. Normal stuff, safe stuff. But I was wrong. So wrong that I still feel my stomach twist when I pass any Apple store, even from a distance. My name is Maya Turner, and I live in Westfield Heights, a quiet suburb outside Riverview, Colorado. I'm 24, work from home doing customer support for a small software company, and I've never been the type to attract trouble. If anything, I've always been invisible, blending in, minding my own business, living life as quietly as possible. But quiet doesn't save you. I learned that the hard way. It started on a Saturday morning at 11:12 a.m. when my phone, my lifeline for work, completely shut off. Black screen, no response, no charging symbol, nothing. I panicked because without my phone, I couldn't clock in for work on Monday. I couldn't verify my accounts. I couldn't even pay my bills. So I grabbed my jacket and drove straight to the Apple store in Westfield Mall. As soon as I stepped inside, the blast of cold air and bright white lighting hit me like always. Clean, organized, safe. That's what Apple stores feel like. Controlled, predictable, almost like stepping into a different world. At least that's what I believed. A cheerful guy at the front scanned me in for a walk-in appointment. "Someone will come get you soon," he said. I nodded, clutching my dead iPhone like it was a piece of a drowning raft. I didn't wait long, maybe 4 minutes. Um, Maya? I turned, and I saw him. Tall, thin, shoulders slumped forward. Dark blonde hair that looked like it hadn't been washed in a day or two. A wrinkled blue Genius bar shirt, a lanyard that hung awkwardly around his neck. His glasses were smudged, and his eyes kept shifting, as if his brain was running twice as fast as everyone else's. "Yeah, that's me," I said with a polite smile. He didn't smile back. "I'm Evan. I'll be helping you today." His voice cracked halfway through. He motioned for me to follow him to the repair counter. I did, even though a prickly feeling crawled up my spine. We stopped at a workstation in the far corner, separate from the others. I noticed it immediately. Every other genius was standing next to someone else, chatting, laughing, explaining repairs. Evan's station sat alone. "Phone die suddenly?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "Just blacked out." He nodded quickly, fingers twitching slightly. "Probably a power IC issue. Or maybe the battery just gave up. Happens sometimes." He reached out a hand. I passed my phone to him. The second our fingers touched, I jerked slightly. His hand was ice cold and weirdly damp, like he'd been holding something wet. He didn't react. He just sat down and plugged my phone into a diagnostic port. I stood there feeling awkward, listening to the chaotic sounds of the store. Customers talking, kids running around with iPads, employees explaining product features. But Evan stayed silent. His eyes didn't blink enough. He typed too fast, almost aggressively. Then he finally spoke. "It'll take about 40 minutes, maybe an hour. You can walk around the mall or something." "Okay," I said. "I'll come back." I walked away relieved, but something tugged at me. Right as I turned, I saw him swipe across my dead screen with his thumb. Once, twice, like he was trying something I didn't understand. I brushed it off. I told myself he was just restarting diagnostics. God, I wish that were true. The store was noticeably busier. I squeezed through clusters of people until I reached the Genius counter. Evan stood waiting, but this time when he saw me, his entire face changed, lit up in a way that didn't match anything appropriate. His eyes widened too much, his lips twitched into a strange half-smile, and he tightened his grip on my phone as if it belonged to him. "Hey, Maya," he said softly. "I fixed it." "Great, what was wrong?" "Battery connector issue, happens with heavy usage." His eyes flicked over me, almost studying my face. "You use your phone a lot?" Yeah, I guess." He handed me my phone. His hand lingered way too long, his fingers brushing mine, almost curling. I pulled back. "Thanks," I said quickly. He didn't reply. He just watched me, followed me with his eyes. tracked me until I walked completely out of sight. I felt sick to my stomach. I told myself I was overreacting, but that night I learned I was right to be afraid. Unknown number. Hi, Maya. It's Evan. My heart slammed against my ribs. How? I never gave him my number, never filled out a form, never logged into anything. Before I could even think, another message arrived. You looked really nice today. I dropped my phone. A third message came before it even hit the blanket. Hope you got home safe. My blood ran cold. I lived alone. I lived quietly. I never posted anything about my address online. My hands shook as I blocked the number. 10 minutes later, another message from a different number. Blocking me won't help. Another. I know where you live. And then, a picture, taken from across the street, from directly outside my apartment building. A picture of my window. I didn't sleep that night. 3 the next morning, 7 the next afternoon, 4 more late at night. I never answered, but he left voicemails, breathing, whispering, saying my name in a low, trembling voice. At first, I thought about calling the police. But what would I say? An Apple employee fixed my phone, and now he's stalking me? Would they believe that? I kept trying to ignore it. Until Thursday. It was 9:58 p.m. I was heating leftovers in the microwave, trying to act normal, pretending my life wasn't unraveling. Then, tap, 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 soft, slow, on my living room window. I froze. My breath stopped. My hands went numb. I didn't want to look, but I had to. I moved the curtain a half inch and looked out. He was there. Evan, standing on the sidewalk, staring directly at my window, not smiling, not speaking, just watching. I ducked back instantly, heart pounding so hard it hurt. Then my phone buzzed. A voicemail. My fingers shook as I played it. His whisper filled my ear. I can see you. Why are you hiding? I swallowed a scream. Then the doorbell rang. One slow ring, then again. My phone buzzed again. Another voicemail. Let me in, Maya. I fixed your phone. You owe me. I backed away from the door. My legs barely held me. My whole body shook uncontrollably. I finally did what I should have done days earlier. I called 911. I whispered everything, my voice barely working. While I was still on the line, the doorknob rattled. He was trying to open it. I ran to the bathroom, locked the door, crouched on the floor with the dispatcher telling me to breathe. I heard footsteps on the porch, then silence, then sirens. When officers arrived, Evan was gone. Not because of me, but because another woman filed a report, saying her photos and documents were stolen during a repair at the same store. The police investigated the store's diagnostics logs. They checked employee activity, and everything pointed to him. When they searched Evan's apartment, the officers told me what they found. Hard drives, phones, SD cards, folders labeled with women's names, dozens of stolen photos, screenshots of private messages, home addresses, passwords, contact lists, a whole digital shrine of women he stalked. My name was on 3 folders. In one of them was a photo of me, sleeping. The officers asked if he had ever been inside my place. I said no, but I don't know if that's true anymore. He didn't resist. He didn't apologize. He just kept repeating one sentence as they put him in the car. She should have answered my texts. It's been 6 months. I moved across town, changed my number, got a new phone entirely, even switched brands. But sometimes at night, I still hear tapping on my window. I still feel the weight of someone watching me, and I still can't walk into an Apple store anymore. Because now I know the truth. You never really know who's behind the counter, or what they'll do once they have access to your entire life. Story 2. I've always hated crowded places. It's something I got from my dad. He used to tell me that danger doesn't always hide in dark alleys. Sometimes it waits in bright, busy places where you least expect it. Back then, I thought he was being dramatic. But now at 26, living alone in a small apartment in Northfield, Colorado, I finally understood what he meant. That Saturday, the Northfield Apple Hub, a massive Apple store anchored inside the Summit Ridge Mall, was the last place I wanted to be. But I needed my phone fixed. Badly. My iPhone had been crashing nonstop for days, freezing at random, typing on its own like someone invisible was controlling it. I needed it for work, for safety, for everything. So I dragged myself to the mall. The moment I stepped inside, I felt the noise vibrate through my chest. Mall music, shoe squeaks, laughter, overlapping conversations. Too much at once. I shoveled my hands into my jacket pockets and muttered under my breath, "Just get in, fix your phone, get out." Walking up to the Apple store felt like approaching a giant aquarium. The two-story glass walls stretched upward, showing rows of wooden tables, neon screens, blue shirt employees, and clusters of people. I swallowed hard. Dad would have told me to stay alert. Inside, the smell of new electronics and warm mall pretzels blended together. Kids played on iPads. Teenagers hovered around a MacBook Pro like it was a campfire. Every employee wore the same rehearsed smile, but something felt off. The second I stepped in, a strange prickle crawled across my shoulders, like someone was watching me. I brushed it off and headed toward the service counter. "Hi," a young guy with curly hair said. "Welcome to the Apple Hub. Do you have an appointment?" "Yeah," I handed him my broken phone. 1:30. "My phone's been acting weird." He clicked a few things on his iPad. "All right, someone will call your name in a few minutes. You can wait anywhere." I nodded and turned around, scanning the crowd for an empty seat. And that's when I saw him. At first, I didn't think anything of him. A scruffy man in his late 30s, hood pulled low, hands shoved in his pockets. But it was the way he stood that bothered me. Completely still, not browsing, not talking, not touching any product, just watching people, specifically children. A mother with two toddlers walked past him, and his eyes followed them like a shadow. He wasn't even trying to be discreet. His gaze dragged across the room, slow and calculating, landing on a little girl, maybe 7, maybe 8, who was playing with an iPad game near the accessory wall. My chest tightened. Maybe he's just weird. Maybe he's just tired. Don't jump to conclusions. But the longer I watched, the worse the feeling got. His movements were twitchy, restless. His eyes kept darting to the employees, to the security guard near the entrance, then back to the girl. "Evelyn Harper?" an employee called. I turned to grab my phone, but my gut wouldn't let me walk away. Not fully. The girl wandered a few steps away from the table, her parents nowhere in sight. She crouched down to tie her shoe, and the man moved. Fast. He stepped toward her like he'd been waiting for the perfect opening. My heartbeat spiked. I opened my mouth to say something when, "Evelyn!" an employee tapped my shoulder. "Huh?" I blinked rapidly. "Your diagnostics?" He held out my phone, confused. "Yeah, sorry. Just hold on." I turned back and froze. The man was crouched beside the girl, pretending to look at the same iPad. But his hand was inching toward her wrist. My stomach flipped. I stepped forward instinctively, but my voice caught in my throat. "Come on, Evelyn," the employee said gently behind me. "It'll only take a minute." I forced myself to tear my eyes away. I followed the employee to the counter, my movements stiff, mechanical. He connected my phone to their system. "Okay, let's see what's going on here." But I wasn't listening. Not fully. Behind him, reflected in the giant glass wall, I could see the man talking to the girl. She shook her head. He tried again, leaning closer. She took a step back. My jaw clenched. "Hey, you all right?" the employee asked. I blinked. Yeah, sorry." My pulse hammered in my ears. Then in the reflection, I saw it. The moment the man reached out and wrapped his hand around her forearm. Hard. The girl's face crumpled in fear. "I'm sorry, excuse me," I blurted, already pushing past him. "Ma'am, wait! Your phone!" I didn't care. My voice tore through the store. "Hey, let her go!" Everyone turned. The man jerked his head toward me. His fingers tightened around her small arm for barely a second before he released her and bolted, shoving past customers and displays, sprinting toward the side emergency exit. The girl stumbled backward, eyes wide, lip trembling. I knelt beside her immediately. Hey, sweetheart, you okay? Did he hurt you?" She shook her head frantically, tears building. I don't know him. Where are your parents?" I asked gently. Mom's, Mom's getting my brother's screen fixed, she choked. By then, security rushed over. Mall security followed seconds later. What happened? A guard barked. I pointed toward the exit the man used. He tried to grab her. He ran that way. Code 4, the guard muttered into his radio. Possible attempted abduction. Description? I gave every detail I could. Hoodie, beard, height, restless eyes. Meanwhile, the girl clung to me like I was the only solid thing in the room. A woman's scream cut through the store. Emmy! Emmy! The girl's mother crashed through the crowd, face pale as paper. When she saw her daughter safe in my arms, she collapsed to her knees, scooping her up and sobbing. Oh my God! Oh my God! Where were you? I looked away for 1 second. I stepped back, hands trembling. She's okay. I saw him. He tried to. I shouted and he ran. The mother looked at me with raw, shaking gratitude. Thank you. Thank you. If you hadn't. Her voice broke. The officers pulled me aside to take a statement. I repeated the description, the movements, the moment he grabbed her. My words felt thick, heavy. You think you can stay a bit longer? One officer asked. Yeah, I whispered. Of course. Every few minutes, another person approached the officers, saying they might have seen him earlier, looking through windows, pacing the second floor, loitering in the parking garage. Predators didn't always hide in shadows. Sometimes they walked in bright Apple stores on busy Saturdays. It took an hour before the officers finished with me. They hadn't caught him yet. The emergency exit cameras captured him sprinting into the parking lot. But after that, nothing. No license plate, no clear face, just a shadow slipping away. You did good, the officer told me. Not everyone speaks up. But instead of feeling heroic, I felt sick. What if she had screamed too quietly? What if he had pulled her toward the exit faster? What if I hadn't turned around in time? What if next time no one noticed? All the way through the mall, I kept checking over my shoulder. Every person in a hood made my breath hitch. Even in my car, I sat gripping the wheel trying to steady my breathing. I didn't sleep that night, or the next, or the next. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the reflection in the glass wall, his hand reaching for her arm, her tiny body flinching. About a month later, I followed up with the police. They had footage, they had a description, but they didn't have a name. He wasn't local, the officer said. Might have been passing through, might have been watching for a while. Hard to say. Is there anything else I can do? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He shook his head. You already did more than most. But that didn't comfort me, because he was still out there, free, waiting. I still visit the mall sometimes, though I don't know why. Maybe to remind myself. Maybe because pretending everything is safe would be worse. Sometimes I'll see small kids playing on tablets while their parents scroll on their phones, oblivious, and my chest tightens all over again. But I watch, quietly, carefully, not paranoid, just prepared. Because evil doesn't always look like a monster. Sometimes it looks like a tired man in a hoodie blending into a crowd of bright screens and cheerful music. And as long as people think places like Apple stores are safe, men like him will keep slipping through the cracks. So I watch. I stay ready. Maybe next time I'll save someone again. Or maybe next time I won't get there fast enough. Either way, I'll never ignore that gut feeling again. Story 3, I never liked spending money on myself. I grew up in a house where every dollar was triple-checked, stretched, and sometimes prayed over. My dad worked maintenance at a lumber mill until it shut down. My mom cleaned houses. I learned early what it meant to go without. So when I finally scraped together enough to buy myself a new phone, a real one, brand new, not refurbished, not cracked, not from some guy on Facebook Marketplace, it felt huge, like I was claiming a piece of normalcy I never had. My name's Alyssa Grant, I'm 24, and I live in Silver Lake, Colorado, a mid-sized town tucked between mountains, but still modern enough to boast a polished Apple store at the Silver Lake Galleria. I worked at Mountain Grind Coffee, pulling 5 a.m. shifts, and I'd spent 13 months saving for the iPhone 16 Pro Max. I told myself it was for work, better photos, easier scheduling, maybe something that would finally make me feel caught up with everyone around me. But really, I just wanted something nice. Something mine. Launch day fell on a Friday. My manager let me leave an hour early because I'd worked a double the night before. When I stepped outside, the cold November wind slapped my cheeks, but my excitement was enough to keep me warm. I pulled my jacket tighter and hurried across the street toward the Silverlight Galleria entrance, dodging college kids and families heading inside for dinner. The moment I walked into the mall, I saw the line. It snaked out from the Apple store like a spilled ribbon. The bright white glow from the store reflected off the polished tiles and made everything look sharper, cleaner, artificial, like a set piece in a movie. My heart thumped nervously, but I joined the end of the line. The guy in front of me, a mid-30s man with short brown hair and a flannel jacket, looked back and laughed lightly. "First launch day?" he asked. "Is it that obvious?" I said, half embarrassed. "A little. You've got the excited newbie look. Don't worry, it's not always this wild. The 16's just bigger hype than usual." I nodded. "I saved for over a year. No way I was missing this." He smiled. "Respect. I'm Jordan, by the way." "Alyssa." Before we could talk more, someone behind me bumped my backpack, hard. I turned. A tall guy in a charcoal hoodie stood too close, hood pulled low, hands shoved deep in his pockets. His face was shadowed, but his eyes flicked up for a second. Something about the look made my stomach tighten. "Sorry," he muttered, but the tone didn't sound apologetic. It sounded flat, detached. I stepped forward subtly, putting a little more distance between us. After nearly 90 minutes of inching forward, listening to conversations, watching parents try to calm down impatient kids, and rubbing warmth into my sore hands, I finally reached the front counter. A cheerful employee named Marcy greeted me. "Hey there! What can we get for you tonight?" My voice almost shook. "iPhone 16 Pro Max, graphite 256 gigabytes, if you still have them." She beamed. "You're in luck." Barely. When she turned to grab the box, I realized someone else was still watching me. The guy in the charcoal hoodie stood off to the side now, arms folded, eyes locked directly on me. Not on the phones, not on the line, not on the workers, just me. For a second, I wondered if he recognized me from somewhere. But no, his stare wasn't friendly or curious or accidental. It was calculating. Marcy returned with the box. "Here you go. Anything else? Apple Care? Case?" I should have said no. I needed to say no. But a protective case suddenly felt necessary. Anything that made the phone safer, harder to break, harder to lose. "A case," I said quietly, "and the screen protector." "Perfect." When the total came up on the register, my heart stung. But I pushed my card through, hands trembling only slightly. Marcy bagged everything neatly and slid it across the counter. "Enjoy, and congrats." I thanked her and stepped out of the store. The mall had thinned out. Half the restaurants were closing. Footsteps echoed against the high ceiling, blending with the hum of the heater vents. My boots clicked against the tile as I walked toward the exit nearest the parking garage. I didn't realize someone was behind me until I heard it. A soft, steady set of footsteps, too deliberate to be random. I glanced behind me. Charcoal hoodie. My pulse jumped. I walked faster. He walked faster. I turned right toward the escalators. He turned right. I descended quickly, gripping the rail. When I reached the bottom floor, the cool air from the garage swept through the glass doors ahead. I pushed through, stepping into the concrete echo chamber of the parking structure. The sound followed me. Footsteps, echoing, gaining. A prickling sensation crawled up my spine. I hugged the Apple bag closer to my chest and moved quickly toward the ramp where my old Honda Civic sat on level 2A. My breath fogged in the cold air. My heartbeat seemed to shake my ribs. Behind me, faster footsteps, purposeful. "Hey," a voice called. "Hold up." I didn't. I didn't even look. Fear surged through me so fast I almost tripped. I took the ramp 2 steps at a time, breath scraping in my throat, keys digging into my palm. My car was close. So close. Then, a hand slammed onto my backpack strap. I jerked forward violently. The strap bit into my shoulder. "Stop!" the voice barked. "Give it!" I screamed. My backpack tore halfway off my shoulder. I spun, shoving, clawing, striking anything I could touch. The man in the hoodie lunged again, grabbing the apple bag. "Let go!" I shouted, but my voice sounded high, panicked, pathetic. A second man appeared out of nowhere. Broad shoulders, beanie pulled low. He grabbed my wrist, twisting. Pain shot up my arm so fast I gasped. "Don't fight," he snapped. "No, please." I tried to pull back, but my feet slid on the concrete. The man in the hoodie yanked the apple bag free, tearing it open. The phone box fell out, skidding across the ground. I dove for it, pure instinct. He dove too. Our hands collided. I grabbed one end of the box. He grabbed the other. He slammed his elbow into my temple so hard stars exploded across my vision. The box slipped from my hands. "Take it, man," the beanie guy shouted. "No, wait, grab the other one too. Check the bag." Their words blurred together. I stumbled backward, dazed. My head rang. My vision swam. The phone. My phone. My months. My work. My everything. Gone. I heard running. Fast, chaotic footsteps pounding down the ramp and fading into the night. Then silence. Just the cold, hollow echo of my own breathing. I sank to the ground, shaking uncontrollably. My throat closed up. Tears blurred my vision. I pressed both hands to my face, trying to stop everything from collapsing inside me. I can't lose things. I can't afford to lose things. Not after everything I survived growing up. Not after all the work, all the sacrifice. But the truth hit me harder than any punch. I could replace a phone. I couldn't replace myself. It took almost a full minute before I could force my hands to steady enough to grab my old phone from my pocket. The screen was cracked. The battery was dying. The edges were dented, but it still worked. I dialed 911. My voice trembled through the entire call. My phone, 2 men. They attacked me. They stole. I'm in Silverlight Galleria garage. Please hurry." The dispatcher kept me talking gently until the officers arrived. 2 patrol cars pulled in, lights reflecting harshly off the concrete. Officers approached me carefully, asking questions, offering a folded emergency blanket. I answered what I could. The hoodie, the beanie, average height, the smell of cigarette smoke on one of them, the way the hoodie guy's left sleeve had a tear near the wrist. They found the torn apple bag still lying on the concrete, empty. "Any chance you saw their faces clearly?" one officer asked softly. "No," I said, hating the truth. "Not enough." He nodded. "We'll pull mall camera footage and garage cams. We'll do everything we can." But I saw the look behind his eyes. This happened too often. They were practiced, quick, methodical, and I had been the perfect target. After the report was filed, one of the officers, a woman named Officer Ramirez, knelt beside me. "You fought back hard," she said. "You're lucky they didn't escalate. Phones can be replaced. You can't." I wiped the corner of my eye. I just wanted one good thing." "I know." Her voice softened. "And you'll get another good thing. Maybe not tonight, but you will." My dad arrived 15 minutes later. When he saw me, bloodied lip, scraped hands, trembling, his face broke in a way I hadn't seen since the mill closed. He hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. "I'm so sorry," he whispered into my hair. "Baby, I'm so damn sorry." I cried harder than I had in years. Not for the phone, not for the money, for the fear, the helplessness, the violation. On the drive home, I stared out the window at the blurred lights of Silverlight passing by. The mall, the stores, the streets where people laughed and lived and never imagined how fast everything could go wrong. When Dad parked outside our house, he rested his hand on mine. "I'll help you save for another one," he said. "We'll do it together." I swallowed hard. "Dad, you don't have to." "I want to." For the first time since the attack, something warm flickered in my chest. Something steady. Hope. In the end, I knew I'd be okay. Not because things were easy, but because I wasn't alone. Life could steal from me, hurt me, knock me down, but it wouldn't break me. Not tonight, not ever. Story 4. I never planned on spending my late teens inside the glass walls of an Apple store, but life has a funny way of pushing you where you don't expect to go. I grew up in Cedar Brook, Colorado, a quiet town where everyone knew everyone, and where the biggest drama was when the high school football coach quit mid-season. I wasn't popular, and honestly, I didn't want to be. I was the kid who stayed indoors rewiring old computers my dad brought home from his job at the local recycling center. My parents fought a lot. Loud, vicious arguments that rattled the thin walls of our little yellow house until I'd escape by burying myself in tech videos or taking apart broken iPhones people threw away. That world felt safe, predictable, understandable. So when I turned 17, getting a part-time job at the Apple store in Meridian Crossing Mall felt like I finally stepped into a life I had control over. Clean white counters, neatly aligned rows of glowing products, the low hum of soft background music. It felt like stepping into a sanctuary. And for the first year, it really was. His name, at least the one he gave us, was Mr. Leonard Gray. A man in his mid-60s, thin as a wire, wearing a faded brown coat that looked 2 decades old. His gray hair hung messily over his forehead, and he always wore the same thing, a cracked silver wristwatch that didn't tick. He wasn't like our usual regulars, the bored retirees or the tech-confused parents. He moved differently, too quietly, too purposefully. The first time he walked in, I was at the front table reorganizing AirPods cases when he stopped beside me. "You work here?" he asked, voice low, almost gentle. I smiled automatically. "Yes, sir. What can I help you with?" He just pointed at the watch on his wrist. "This isn't working. I want a new one." I paused. "We don't sell watches like that, sir. Just Apple watches." His eyes, pale blue, almost colorless, lifted to mine, and for a moment I felt my stomach twist. "I know," he murmured. "Show me something. Better." I guided him toward the Apple Watch display, and he nodded along politely. But the whole time I could feel his gaze drifting. Not at the screens, not at the products, at me. He didn't buy anything. He only said, "I'll come back when I'm ready," and then he left, moving slowly, that broken watch hanging loose on his bony wrist. I tried to shake off the odd feeling. Working retail, you meet all kinds of eccentric people, but something about him, his silence, his stillness, clung to me long after he'd gone, and Mr. Gray became a fixture. He didn't talk to anyone else. He didn't look at anything else. Only me. He'd appear during slow hours, shuffling around the store like he was measuring the space, studying the aisles. Sometimes he'd stand by the doorway, staring through the glass before entering, almost as if waiting for something. One evening, my coworker Jason nudged me. "Your shadow's back," he whispered. "Don't call him that," I muttered, though my stomach tightened again. Jason snorted. "He stares at you like he's trying to memorize your blood type." I forced a laugh, but deep down, I knew Jason wasn't wrong. It happened on a Friday night, the kind where the mall felt almost empty except for the echo of teenagers laughing in the food court. I was on my closing shift with just 2 coworkers. At 8:47 p.m., Mr. Gray walked in. And this time, he wasn't watching me passively. He headed straight to me. "I'm ready now," he said. "For a watch?" He nodded. "Help me set it up." Something in his voice sounded different, firmer, less shaky. That scared me more than the usual softness. I grabbed a Series 9 Apple Watch box and led him to the support table. He placed his old broken watch down, and I swear, it made a tiny clink against the table like metal hitting marble. I started pairing the device with his phone, making small talk, trying to ignore the pit forming in my gut. His phone was old, an iPhone 6 with a shattered corner. While syncing, the screen flickered. Then something popped up. A folder with my name. "Why is there a folder named Avery on your phone?" I whispered, my throat tightening. He didn't blink. He didn't flinch. He only tilted his head. "You're careful," he said softly. "That's good." My hands began to shake. "Sir, what is this?" He leaned closer, breath cold, almost shaky with excitement. "You walk the same route home every day," he murmured. "You always park on the second floor of the garage. You never lock your car until you reach it. You trust too easily." My heart froze. Before I could move, he reached out, not fast but with terrifying calm, and placed his bony hand on mine. "I've been patient, Avery. I've been watching. Learning." I yanked my hand back so hard my chair scraped the floor. Stay away from me, I snapped. I'm calling security. His expression darkened, twisting into something hollow, something hungry. You should not have said that. Then he stood. My voice cracked as I shouted toward the back. Jason, call mall security. Now Mr. Gray moved around the table slowly, deliberately blocking my path to the exit. Jason burst from the stockroom. Sir, you need to step back. But Mr. Gray didn't even acknowledge him. His eyes were glued to me. I fixed this watch just for you, he whispered, tapping the broken silver watch. It's yours. He took a step forward. I stepped back. He took another step. I backed up until my shoulder hit the counter. My breath came fast, ragged. Please stop, I whispered. He smiled, a sick, eerie smile. Don't be scared. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to take you. Jason lunged forward. Get away from her! Mr. Gray swung the broken watch like a weight, striking Jason across the jaw. Jason hit the floor hard. That's when something inside me snapped. All the years of staying quiet, avoiding conflict, being small, I felt it shatter. I grabbed the nearest object, a heavy aluminum iPad stand, and swung it with everything I had. It connected with his shoulder. He stumbled back, shock flashing across his face. Back off! I screamed. He lurched toward me again, wild, desperate. I swung again, this time hitting his forearm. He dropped the broken watch. It clattered to the floor. Security arrived seconds later, tackling him from behind. He thrashed and fought, screaming my name as they pinned him down. Avery, you belong with me. You belong to me. I remember collapsing against the counter, sobbing so hard I couldn't breathe. Police arrived. They took statements. Jason was sent to the hospital for stitches. An officer approached me. Detective Nolan Briggs, a man who looked like he'd seen far too many things in his career. He sat beside me on the store's white bench, voice low. Avery, his name isn't Leonard Gray. I swallowed hard. Then who is he? Briggs exhaled slowly. His real name is Andrew Colburn. He's been wanted in Arizona, Nevada, and Utah for stalking, unlawful surveillance, and 2 disappearances. My blood went cold. Briggs continued. We searched his motel room. He had pictures of you, hundreds. He had maps of this mall, your house, your school, and notes, detailed notes. I stared at him, tears blurring everything. He said you were perfect, Briggs added quietly. He said he'd been waiting for the right moment. My whole body trembled. The detective placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. You probably saved your own life today. I left Cedarbrook. I left retail. I left the mall. I moved to Santa Rosa, California, where nobody knew me as the girl from the Apple store. I work in cybersecurity now. Ironic maybe, but fitting. I help people protect themselves from the kind of monsters I never realized could walk beside us in broad daylight. But even now, when my phone buzzes unexpectedly, or when I see an older man with a worn-out coat or a broken watch, I still feel that same cold shiver crawl up my spine. I still hear his voice whispering my name. Some scars don't fade, some fears don't die. They just hide, quiet, waiting, like he once did. Story 5. I never thought a retail job could change the way I saw the world, or make me fear my own reflection. My name's Evan Cole, and when this happened, I had just turned 18. Fresh out of high school, trying to save enough money for community college. I wasn't aiming for anything big. Just a small apartment someday, maybe a used Honda that wouldn't break down every other week. My job at the Apple store in Lakeside City, Illinois, felt like the first real step toward that future. Clean floors, bright lights, fancy tech that even smelled expensive. Customers treated us like we were genius surgeons fixing their lifeline, not just updating passwords. I wasn't great with people growing up. I kept to myself. Technology made sense. People didn't. So Apple gave me a place to blend in. Blue shirt, lanyard, warm scripted smiles. But comfort can be an illusion. And that illusion shattered one night. It was mid-November, holiday season madness. The day before our Black Friday sales kicked off. The mall was loud, screaming kids, shoppers with giant bags swinging like wrecking balls, music blasting Mariah Carey for the millionth time. I clocked in at 3:57 p.m. 3 minutes early, because the managers loved that. Hey, Evan, you're on iPhone setups tonight, buddy, my supervisor Liam said, patting my shoulder. Liam always looked like he could fall asleep mid-sentence. Big dude, kind heart, but tired down to his soul. Perfect, I said, forcing a grin. Just what my anxiety ordered. He snorted. Holiday pay, you'll live. The store was packed. Dozens of people crowding around the newest iPhone displays, fingerprints smeared across every glass surface. I kept telling myself, 4 more hours, then freedom. Around 6:15 p.m., I saw him. It's weird how your eyes can just lock on to something wrong, like your brain senses danger before you understand why. He stepped through the automatic glass doors slow, like he wasn't sure he was allowed to be there. His clothes looked a decade old. A gray motel sweatshirt with holes in the sleeves, baggy pants stained with something dark, no shoes, just dirty hospital socks hugging the tiles. His hair hung greasy and tangled around his pale face, but it was his eyes that grabbed me. Wide, unblinking, not curious, starving. He didn't look at the new phones. He didn't look at display screens. He looked straight at me. I flinched so hard I dropped the lightning cable in my hands. You good, man? A college kid buying AirPods asked. Yeah, sorry, just long day, I muttered, but my chest tightened. I couldn't break eye contact. Every person in the store blurred except him. I looked for Liam, but customers swallowed him. When I glanced back, the man was gone. A normal person would relax. I couldn't. By 8:45 p.m., the mall had closed. The last customers hurried out with excitement and stress clinging to them like static. Once Liam locked the doors, the store suddenly felt too big, too quiet. It showed me something I never noticed during chaos. Reflections. Every glass panel, every polished table, showed pieces of us. I was helping Maya shut down the Genius Bar computers when a stench hit us. Rotten, wet, human. Maya gagged, covering her nose. God, what died? Please don't be another clogged drain. No, I whispered. Smells like sweat and garbage. Liam walked over, fanning the air. That's... wow. Okay, let's just finish fast. But dread crawled through me. My scalp prickled. We split up to finish closing tasks. I took the back of the store, the accessory wall. That's when I heard a voice, low, stuttering, like broken audio. See, me, I froze. Hello? I called, my voice too thin. Static silence answered. I took one step. Tap, 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 from behind me. I turned toward the giant curved glass panel that showed security camera feeds. The cameras were off, but on the glass, a handprint appeared, pressed from the inside, but I was inside, and nothing was behind the glass. I stumbled backward, and he crawled from beneath the table, naked, bones sticking out like he was starved for weeks. He moved sideways, crooked limbs skittering across the shiny floor like a massive spider. His head tilted back so far I thought his neck had snapped. His mouth twitched, opening and closing like he was tasting the air. Then he spoke. Glass. They hide in the glass. His voice was just wrong, like multiple voices glitching in and out of sync. I couldn't breathe. Evan, move! Maya screamed from across the store. The man jerked toward her voice, too fast, joints cracking loudly. Liam, I shouted. Liam rushed over, eyes wide. What the actual... But he didn't finish, because the man launched into a sprinting crab walk straight at me. We bolted. Liam shoved the back hallway door shut and twisted the lock. The man slammed into the other side so hard the door shook. His nails scraped the surface, over and over, high-pitched, desperate. Glass, let me out. They're inside me. Maya was crying now, phone shaking in her hand. No signal. Why is there no signal? Liam swore. We have the alarm system. Shit, that needs signal too. The scraping stopped. Silence pressed against us. Liam whispered, Is he gone? A tap answered on the hallway window. We turned slowly. The hallway had long glass windows looking into the sales floor. He stood outside, perfectly still, head tilted, and he smiled, hideously wide, teeth crooked and stained. His skin reflected in every glass surface around him, but in some reflections, his mouth didn't move. His eyes were missing. His head was turned backward. The reflections were wrong, delayed, lagging like buffering video. The man looked at the reflections too, terrified of them. They follow me. They live in the glass. They want new ones, pretty ones. His gaze slid to us. Your turn. Then with a sickening crack, he bent in half and dragged himself into the shadows between display tables and disappeared. We stayed frozen until police sirens wailed through the mall corridors. When officers burst inside, the store lights flickered awake again. We ran to them. The cops spread out, searching every inch. No man, no footprints, no clothes, nothing. One officer laughed like we'd imagined it, but another walked over to me quietly and said, "You said he came from the reflections?" I nodded shakily. He swallowed. "We've had reports like that before. Always this store, always holiday season." "What are you saying?" Maya whispered. The officer looked at the endless glass panels surrounding us. "Some people believe reflections aren't copies. They're windows. And sometimes," he trailed off. Didn't finish. "They recommended therapy. They told us to take a few days off work. But therapy doesn't stop nightmares." I quit Apple. Moved to a small electronics repair shop with no glass walls. But reflections are impossible to escape. Every mirror, every phone screen, every window at night. Sometimes when I wipe my bathroom mirror after a hot shower, I catch a reflection that doesn't match. A head tilted the wrong way. A smile too wide. Once, someone crab walking behind me. Last week I got a package. No return address. Inside was a folded piece of paper. Just 5 words. "Glass remembers you, Evan." And underneath, a smudged, greasy handprint. I haven't slept since, because I finally understand what that man was trying to say. They're in the glass. They choose who crosses next, and every reflection is another door, waiting for its turn to open. Story 6, I never planned on working retail again. After high school, I promised myself I was done with angry customers, long shifts, and pretending to smile when all I wanted was to go home. But reality doesn't care about promises, especially when bills pile up so fast you can barely breathe. Back then I was 20, living with my older sister Megan, in a cramped 2-bedroom apartment in Brenton Falls, North Carolina. Rent wasn't cheap, and my part-time college classes drained what little money I made from tutoring. So when Megan got laid off from her job, I knew I had to step up. I needed a paycheck, fast. That's how I ended up working at the Apple store inside Westview Plaza Mall, just outside town. It wasn't a flagship store or anything fancy, just a clean, bright shop wedged between a Bath and Body Works and a food court with awful ventilation. But the place had its charm, lights always perfectly white, displays spotless, and everything arranged with the kind of precision that would make a drill sergeant proud. I thought it would be simple. Help people reset iCloud passwords, sell a few iPhones, pretend to care about AirPods. Normal retail, safe retail. But my story proves that nowhere is safe. Not really. It was a Tuesday early June. Humid, sticky, the kind of weather where the air feels heavier than your clothes. I had the late shift, 1 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., and by the time evening rolled around, the mall had begun to empty. I was behind the Genius bar, organizing chargers and answering Megan's text asking me to pick up milk, when the front doors chimed. I looked up. A man had walked in, tall, maybe 6 feet 3 inches, wearing a red hoodie pulled over his head, sleeves frayed at the ends. The fabric looked old, stretched out, and stained in places. He kept his head low, but I could see the bottom half of his jaw, tight, sharp, unshaven. Something about him made my stomach tighten. Maybe it was the way he scanned the room too fast. Maybe the way he walked straight toward me like he had memorized where I stood. I swallowed hard and forced myself to smile. "Hey there, how can I help you today?" He didn't answer. He just reached into the front pocket of his hoodie and pulled out a phone, if you could call it that. It was cracked so badly the screen looked like someone had taken a hammer to it. Wires stuck out of the back. The frame was bent. It wasn't even an iPhone. It was a beat-up OnePlus. I cleared my throat. Uh, Sir, just want to let you know, we only service Apple products here. iPhones, MacBooks, that kind of thing. His eyes lifted, just barely. Cold, unblinking, the kind of look you don't forget. I need it fixed, he said, voice low and rough like gravel scraping metal. I get that, I said gently, but no. He leaned forward. You're not listening. I said I need it fixed. My mouth went dry. Sir, we literally can't access parts or software for that. If you visit a OnePlus, I came here, he snapped, because you're open, because you help people with phones. His hand tightened around the broken device. So fix it. Before I could answer, my manager, Logan, approached. He was calm, mid-30s, the kind of guy who never raised his voice even when customers screamed in his face. Sir, he said softly, we can look up repair shops that work with that specific model, but here, we only handle Apple products. The man stared at him, not blinking, not moving. Then without warning, he laughed. But it wasn't normal laughter. It was empty, like air passing through something hollow. You people, always the same, he muttered. Never help, never listen. The customers closest to him quietly stepped away. He looked back at me, and his expression changed, just for a second. Something sharp, personal, like the anger wasn't about the phone anymore. Like it was about me, useless, he hissed, then turned and walked out. The door slammed so hard the glass shook. I told myself it was over. I was wrong. Life went on. Megan found part-time work. I kept my shifts. The mall stayed busy with teens, tourists, and tired parents. For a while, it felt normal again, until another Tuesday night. We were closing. It was me, Logan, and a coworker named Alyssa, who was sweeping the floor while humming off-key. I was powering down display iPhones when the front door chimed. My hands froze. Red hoodie, same height, same posture, same slow, deliberate walk. But this time, he wasn't alone. Another man entered behind him, shorter, heavier, wearing a black baseball cap pulled low over his eyes. Alyssa stopped sweeping. Logan, she whispered. Logan stepped forward, voice steady. Sorry, folks. We're closed for the night. We can help you tomorrow. They didn't answer. They just walked deeper into the store, boots echoing on the polished floor. I stepped back behind the Genius bar, my heart beat so loud it drowned out the fading music in the store. The man in the red hoodie stared right at me. Thought you said you help people here, he said. Logan moved between us. Sir, the store is closed. If you need assistance... The second man suddenly pulled something from his jacket, a metal pipe. Before I could react, he swung it into the glass MacBook display case. The glass shattered instantly, scattering across the floor like ice. Alarms erupted. Alyssa screamed and stumbled backward. Hey, stop! Logan shouted. But they didn't stop. They shoved MacBooks into a backpack. 3, 4, maybe more. And then the man in the red hoodie pointed the metal pipe right at Logan. Say one more word, he whispered, and I'll put you through this table. Logan lifted his hand slowly. Nobody's fighting you. Just take what you want and leave. The man backed away toward the door, eyes locked on me the entire time. Then he smiled, faint, chilling. Next time, he said, you'll fix my phone. And they ran out. Mall security showed up uselessly late. Police took statements. Cameras caught everything, except their faces. They were in and out in under a minute. A perfect hit. But the cops said something that chilled me more than anything. Looks like a pattern we've seen in neighboring counties, the officer said. Crew of 2. One distracts, one smashes and grabs. But this one is strange. How? I asked. He hesitated. Because this is the first case where one of them singled someone out. I felt my blood turn cold. They meant me. I quit the next morning. Logan understood. You did everything right, he said. This wasn't your fault. But logic didn't matter. Because every night after that, for almost a month, I felt it again. That heavy sense that someone was watching. Every time I stepped outside, every time I stood at a bus stop, every time a car slowed near me, That pressure on the back of my neck returned. And then one night, leaving the grocery store, I saw it. A red hoodie standing near the edge of the parking lot. Tall, still, facing me. I blinked. He was gone. I told myself it was my mind playing tricks on me, trauma lingering like fingerprints on glass. But deep down, I knew the truth. Some people don't forget faces, especially the faces they decide to blame, especially the ones they feel wronged by. And people like him, people with eyes like that, they don't just let things go. Years later, I've moved to a different state, different job, different life. But sometimes, late at night, when I'm locking up the office or walking to my car in an empty lot, I still feel it, that cold burn along my spine, that sense that somewhere out there, someone remembers me, someone who thinks I owe him something, someone who doesn't know the word forgive. I tell myself he's long gone, jail, dead, or just moved on. But fear doesn't listen to logic. Fear listens to memory. And my memory will always return to that red hoodie, those hollow eyes, and the way he said, "Next time you'll fix my phone." Story 7. I always thought I was good at reading people. Maybe it came from growing up around my dad's pawn shop, where you see the best and the worst of humanity walk through the door every day. Dad used to say, most people show you who they are if you pay attention to their eyes. But nothing, not all the strange customers, not the late-night drunks, not the desperate thieves, prepared me for the night that changed everything. Back then, I was 21, living in Harrington Ridge, Colorado, a middle upper suburb surrounded by pine trees and quiet streets. I shared a small rental house with my cousin Evan while attending community college. Money was tight, so when an opening appeared at the Apple store inside Ridgeview Crossing Mall, I applied instantly. The store wasn't huge, but busy enough. Rows of iPads under soft lights, MacBooks displayed like museum pieces, walls lined with iPhone cases in every color you could imagine. The job was simple. The people were complicated, and some nights, too complicated. It was late September, cold enough for a jacket, warm enough that people still pretended summer wasn't over. I had the evening shift, 2 p.m. to 9 p.m., and most of the day had been normal. A cracked iPad screen here, a frustrated parent there, a guy insisting his iPhone was possessed. Typical stuff. By 8:30 p.m., the mall was winding down. A few stragglers drifted in. My coworker, Elena, was already wiping down the display tables. My shift lead, Mark, was counting cash in the back room. I was organizing AirPod boxes near the front when the door chimed. I glanced up. A man entered, tall, slender, wearing an oversized tan coat with the collar pulled high. His hair was messy, his skin pale in a way that warned me instantly something was off. But it wasn't his appearance that hit me. It was the eyes wide, glassy, unblinking, like he hadn't slept in days, or like he'd seen something he could never unsee. He walked up slowly, footsteps softer than they should have been. "Hi," I said carefully. "Need help with something?" He reached into his coat and placed an iPhone 12 Pro on the counter, except it wasn't normal. The back glass was shattered completely, but not in a typical drop pattern. These cracks looked unnatural, like pressure had been applied from inside. Tiny fractures spiderwebbed around the camera lenses. And the camera lenses themselves, they were fogged, clouded, like something had melted inside them. Before I could speak, the man whispered, "Don't plug it in. It turns on by itself." I forced a smile. Okay. What exactly is..." "It films," he said. "Even when the power's dead. Even when I'm asleep." My smile vanished. Elena glanced at us nervously. "Sir," I began slowly, "are you saying the phone is recording without your input?" His head jerked once. A stiff, unnatural nod. "Yes, and it shows me things I'm not supposed to see." A chill crawled up my arms. "What kind of things?" He leaned closer. "People who aren't really there. Rooms that change. Shadows that move wrong." His voice trembled. "And someone watching me from inside the camera." I cleared my throat. "Do you want us to erase the phone?" "No." His eyes widened more. "I want you to destroy it." I blinked. "Destroy it?" He nodded violently. Smash it, break it, burn it if you have to. Just don't let it turn on again. Before I could respond, Elena whispered, "I'll get Mark," and rushed toward the back. The man stepped closer to me, voice dropping to a low, eerie whisper. "If it powers on, it will show you too." I felt sweat gather at the base of my neck. "Sir, I need to ask." Suddenly, the phone vibrated. Even though it was completely dead. Black screen. No charge. Nothing. It vibrated again. Harder. The man backed up so quickly he collided with the counter behind him. "No," he whispered. "No, no, no." The phone lit up. A cracked white glow flickered through the shattered glass. The Apple logo appeared for a split second, then disappeared, replaced by static. Static. On an iPhone. The front camera activated by itself. I heard the faint click sound. Even though the screen was too damaged to show anything clearly, the man screamed. He lunged forward, snatched the phone off the counter, and slammed it on the floor as hard as he could. It didn't break, not even a dent. He screamed louder, lifted his foot, and stomped on it repeatedly. Still nothing. The phone's camera flash burst suddenly. A blinding strobe of white light that flickered rapidly, almost rhythmically, like someone was taking dozens of pictures per second. Elena shouted, "Mark, hurry!" The man stumbled backward, covering his face. "It's recording!" he shrieked. "It's recording me!" Finally, Mark sprinted out from the back. "Sir, step away!" But before he could grab the man, the stranger turned, bolted out of the store, and disappeared into the mall corridor. We never saw him again. Mall security searched for him. Police came and took statements, but he was gone. We boxed the phone as evidence, but the officers refused to take it. "It's not a threat," one of them said. "Just tech gone wrong." They were wrong, because the phone didn't stop. Not that night. Not for days. In the break room, it powered itself on repeatedly. At 3 a.m. after closing, mall night staff reported hearing faint clicking noises coming from our store, like camera shutters firing. Once, Elena swore she found the phone moved from the evidence box to the center of the backroom table. Nobody admitted touching it, and none of us wanted to. 3 days later, Mark told us, "We're transferring it to corporate. Someone will pick it up." Nobody was brave enough to question it. That night, we closed early. Elena left first. Mark locked himself in the office to finish paperwork. I stayed in the front, organizing lightning cables and double-checking inventory. At 9:17 p.m., I heard it. A single vibration. My heart sank. I knew exactly what it was. I walked slowly toward the back room, each step heavier than the last. The door was partially open. Inside, the evidence box lay on the floor. Empty. The phone was sitting upright on the table. Camera facing the door. Facing me. I froze. The phone vibrated again. Then the screen lit up, even though it had no battery, showing a shaky, distorted live image from the front camera. But it wasn't me on the screen. It was Mark, in the office, sitting completely still, eyes fixed on something I couldn't see. Except Mark wasn't alone. Standing behind him was the man in the tan coat, motionless, head lowered, hands at his sides. I gasped and burst into the office. Mark jumped so hard he nearly fell out of his chair. "What the hell are you doing?" he shouted. I looked around wildly. No one else was there. "Was someone just—" I pointed at the corner behind him. "Was anyone in here with you?" "No," Mark snapped. "It's just me. What's going on?" I couldn't explain it. Couldn't breathe. I grabbed his wrist. "The phone is showing things. Things that aren't real, or maybe are." He stared at me like I'd lost my mind. Then the lights flickered. The phone, still on the table behind us, began vibrating uncontrollably. A violent, shaking buzz that rattled the metal table legs. The camera flash blasted repeatedly. The screen glowed white. A long, slow, static-filled hiss leaked from the speaker. Then, a shadow passed across the doorway behind us. Not a person, not human-shaped. Tall, twisted, wrong. Mark shoved me behind him. "Stay here." He stepped into the doorway. "Hello?" he called out. Silence. He turned around. The phone was pointed directly at him. The camera shutter clicked 3 times. Click, click, click. The lights went out. We were swallowed in darkness. Something brushed my shoulder. Not a hand, not skin. Something colder. I screamed and bolted out of the back room, sprinting through the store, through the mall corridor, and all the way to the employee parking lot without stopping. I didn't look back. Not once. I quit the next morning. Elena quit 2 days later. Mark transferred to a different store. The Apple store got new management, new staff, and a new security system. But corporate, they never found the phone. It wasn't in the break room, wasn't in the office, wasn't anywhere on cameras. It just vanished. Sometimes late at night, when my apartment is dark and quiet, my phone vibrates once, a single buzz, no notification, no call, nothing on the screen, and in the faint reflection of the black glass, I swear I see something behind me, something tall, something pale, something watching, like a lens pointed at me, waiting to capture the moment I look away.